it's my belief that he is voluntarily underemployed.
Yeah, my client can also support a claim that he shouldn't be imputed at his full-time wage for all 40 hours because he does have a lot of medical issues. He could potentially actually be, fully disabled at this point, but he wants to work. He runs his own business. He wants to stay employed. And so he has been doing that.
How much do you make there?
$24.87 an hour.
$24.87.
My husband and then our 5 children.
And how much do you make there?
$20 an hour. I had to have a neck surgery, which I lost most function in my right arm. I was granted Medicaid for the rest of my life.
I don't understand how he has Medicaid for life. Medicaid isn't a for life program. The average pay in the state of Michigan in the Grand Rapids area for a mechanical contractor with 0 to 1 years of experience is $79,000 a year.
I'm not a mechanical contractor.
You have a mechanical contractor's license and the number is 7118586.
Or affirm any testimony you give in this cause, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
So,
All right. And Ms. Moore, you filed this motion. What are you requesting today and why?
I'm requesting that support be reevaluated and that Mr. Tell be imputed at a higher wage. When this was imputed, he had time with the child. He does not have any time now. It also is not reflective of his current state of Michigan licenses. And it's my belief that he is voluntarily underemployed.
All right. And Ms. Heaven, when was support last set?
January 12, 2021.
All right. Ms. Emelander, anything you wanted to say prior to I guess the parties disclosing their income and things like that?
Yes, Your Honor. So typically how support would be reviewed in matters like this would be after 36 months. We aren't to that point yet. This order was entered on January 12, 2021. I believe at the time that it was entered was right about the time that parenting time went to 0 overnights for my clients. I believe that would be reflected in the order. He had provided the court with his most recent income, was imputed as working at full-time, even though he's working about 20 to 25 hours a week. I didn't see any sort of documentation or proof attached to the motion that was submitted by Ms. Barrett today to, say what she believes his income should allegedly be at for someone with his licensure. But, he runs his own business, through his family. He pays competitive wages and he himself is the highest paid employee through his company. So I find it hard to believe that if he were paying himself and others at an amount that was not typical for the licensure of the employment in that field within this county, that he'd have employees. So, if we are going to be getting into, the meat and potatoes of this motion, my client can also support a claim that he shouldn't be imputed at his full-time wage for all 40 hours because he does have a lot of medical issues. He could potentially actually be, fully disabled at this point, but he wants to work. He runs his own business. He wants to stay employed. And so he has been doing that. But there would be an argument there, I believe, that for the 15 hours that he's imputed at his full-time wage, that, he can't be working more than 25 hours at most a week. So we would probably be asking that he be imputed at minimum wage, not his current wage, because he can't actually work more than 25 hours. I also didn't see that any recent pay stubs for the petitioner had been filed, or a copy of her last year's tax return or child care verification form, or what kind of verification she has for these costs that she alleges are so much higher now than they were back when the last order was entered. So I'd ask that the court deny this motion. And if the court's not inclined to, that the court would set this matter for an evidentiary hearing.
All right, well, at this point, the 3-year reviews are initiated by friend of the court. That doesn't prevent either party from filing a motion to have support recalculated in an amount of time that's shorter than that if there are changes in circumstances or reasons for bringing the matter to the court's attention. And it looks like the last obligation was based at the very least on a split of overnights, 263 for Ms. Maury and 102 for Mr. Tuttle. And if he hasn't had any parenting time since July of 2021, that's a year and a half plus, almost 2 years. He hasn't had parenting time, so that's certainly a change in circumstances from the time the last order was entered that would allow the court to recalculate child support sooner than the 3 years.
Yes,
So-
based on the overnights. Yeah, they understand. Yeah.
So we'll proceed with the motion today. I'll start with Ms. Maury. It's her motion. Ma'am, where do you work?
The state of Michigan, DHHS,
All right, and how much do you make there?
$24.87 an hour.
$24.87? Is that full time?
Yes,
Do you have any other income from any other source?
I do not.
And you put in your motion that Mr. Tuttle hasn't had any overnights since July of 2021. Is that accurate? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay. And do you have any other minor children?
I do.
How many?
2.
And do you claim this child as a dependent for tax purposes?
I do.
Do you claim either or both of your other children as a dependent for tax purposes?
I do.
Both?
Yes,
And are you remarried?
I am.
You file jointly as a married couple?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have any current daycare expenses for this child?
do not.
You provide health insurance for this child?
Do.
How much is the amount that you pay for health insurance? Total?
I pay a premium of $90.06 bi-weekly.
90.06 bi-weekly? And who all does that cover?
My whole family, so my husband and then our 5 children.
So yourself, your husband, and your 2 other children, this child, and then 2 children of your husband?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get that, Ms. Evans?
I did.
Yes, I did.
All right. Let's see. Ms. Evan, anything I missed with Ms. Maury?
Income of the children tax filing. Okay, nope, you got everything I needed.
All right. And Mr. Tuttle, where are you working right now?
With my parents' company, Flats Electric,
And how much do you make there?
20 an hour,
And how many hours a week are you working?
20 to 25, but I usually average about 25.
And your attorney indicated you have some health issues that prevent you from working 40 hours?
Yes.
What's going on with that?
This goes back into 2015 when I was in that car crash and been dealing with this same matter. That I had to have a neck surgery, which I lost most function in my right arm. And then in March of 21, I had my second surgery, which I have a big plate in my neck now. And now we are trying to hold off a third surgery of a full-on fusion and loss of both arms.
loss of arms or loss of?
Loss of function, like,
Okay,
like I can't hold on to a cup. I can't turn a screwdriver. My hand like locks up. There's all the nerve damage from when my spine collapsed on itself. And it's doing it again.
okay. All right, and I would note that 20 hours, 25 hours a week is consistent with the income that was used for Mr. Tuttle at the last hearing. Well, I shouldn't say the last hearing. I should say the last time support was run. I have that information in front of me. That's actually 2175 per month. If you take 20 times 25 and multiply by the state multiplier of 4.35 weeks per month, it's 2,175. The last calculation had him at 2,085. So it's $90 more, but probably based on the same restriction. Have you been making the 20 an hour for quite a while?
About 2 years now-ish. I don't remember the last time I got a pay raise. For a while it was 18, then 19. And now I'm at 20 or 25. I sent in everything for that, and then my parents filled out the form of like what I made last year and everything with previous pay stubs.
Okay. All right, and
So-
I'm just pointing that out because that's consistent with the income that was used last time. That's not significantly less. It is actually $90 more, so. All right, and then you have one additional child, is that right?
I do. And then I have 3 other stepchildren that live with me.
Yeah, we don't count stepchildren. And then when you file, who claims that your other child?
It alternates year to year.
Okay. And Ms. Maury has pled or testified that you don't have any overnights with the child that you have with her. Is that correct?
No, the current order states that I get Emily whenever she is wanting to come over. And she
Karen.
hasn't been wanting to come over, and I haven't been pushing the fact because it gives her bad anxiety and everything. So I just wait for her to make the decision she wants to come see me.
All right, but at this point, at least, you haven't had overnights for a year and a half, going on 2
No.
years?
No, I have not.
All right, and do you also provide health insurance for this child?
For Emily,
Right,
no, I do not. It's
Okay.
solely on Randy right now, which I wanted to bring that up. I had a question about that.
yeah, that's that.
So back in 2015, when I was in my car crash and went through everything, I was granted Medicaid for the rest of my life. And in part of that deal, I accepted that both of my kids would have unlimited Medicaid until they turned 18, where there was no expense on my behalf due to my injury. I'm asking, why would she put her on her insurance and not just on mine, to where everything would be covered? Because Randy keeps sending me a lot of medical expenses, and it's not something that I can afford constantly, all these medical, when I have free medical.
You could put her on that Medicaid as one of your dependents, and that would cover any shortfall in the insurance that Ms. Barrett or Ms. Maury currently has. I would imagine they have a family plan, so it doesn't cost any more or less for her to have this child on that insurance with the family plan. I'm assuming that. I guess I don't know that for sure, but at the end of the
Okay.
day, if you had her on Medicaid and there were copays or deductibles or out-of-pocket expenses that weren't covered by insurance, that Medicaid could be a secondary insurance.
Okay, I wasn't sure how that works, so I will look into that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my.
there was something I wanted to ask
That's
the court about today too. I have my own questions about that, Your Honor. If I can ask you that in a minute.
All right. I think that's all the information I need on Mr. Tuttle. Ms. Heaven, anything we missed?
Your filing status, Mr. Tuttle, are you married?
Oh.
I am married, but I file separate.
Okay. Very separate. And I'm sorry, I missed how many exemptions you claim?
Depending on the year, I only claim my other child every other year.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Emelander, anything you wanted to say then? I guess, did you have any questions for Ms. Maury before we?
Well, I have a question, yeah, for Ms. Maury, I guess, because that's about her health insurance. Can you hear me okay, Ms. Maury?
Yeah,
Okay, so what kind of insurance do you have through DHS?
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay, do you know what kind of coverage that they have, you know, in comparison to like Medicaid? Have you compared like what co-pays are or what out-of-pocket costs would be with John?
Yeah, with Medicaid, there's not co-pays and out-of-pocket costs.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if maybe we would want to switch Emily's insurance to Medicaid as primary insurance and then have your insurance be secondary.
Per policy at DHS, the child would have to reside with him. She doesn't reside with him. She doesn't have any nights in that home. You can't-
I think it's, yeah, if he's paying child support for that child, I believe that would be able to be done. So, I mean, is there any reason why we couldn't try listing her on Medicaid primary and then have your insurance secondary?
Go for it.
I'm
But
not trying to give you attitude or anything. I'm just asking you a question.
I don't understand how he has Medicaid for life. Medicaid isn't a for life program. We don't have a program where you get Medicaid for life. So I guess I'm confused that he has Medicaid for life.
All right. So just to circumvent this a little bit, Ms. Emelander, she said go for it. So I guess if your client wants to look into having the child added to his Medicaid, and
Okay.
then utilizing her insurance secondary.
Sure.
Sounds like she's given a green light for that to be explored.
Great.
And then,
Right.
her insurance would be secondary to the Medicaid if the department or the state allows Mr. Tuttle to put the child on Medicaid. You know, the order says what it says, but the reality is, and I assume the form is more reality based than what the order says, is that the child hasn't resided with him. If they're still okay with putting her on due to some exemption because of his injuries, then I guess that's fine. But
Okay.
if he wants to look into it, that's okay at this point.
Great.
Your Honor, can I add something, please?
Yeah, I don't know the answers to everything. Some of this is stuff I don't really know. I'm just making assumptions or saying it can be looked into, but yeah, go ahead.
Look into it. It'll save us both money. I just want to point out that Mr. Tuttle states that his lack of employment went down in 2015, but Mr. Tuttle was working multiple jobs after his injury where he was making substantially more money. And he was working full time. So he has the ability and the skills to do it. And at the time that he was inputted, he didn't have a mechanical contractor license. The average pay in the state of Michigan in the Grand Rapids area for a mechanical contractor with 0 to 1 years of experience is $79,000 a year.
I'm not a mechanical contractor.
You have a mechanical license and the number is 7118586.
I hold the license, but I don't run a business.
Are you asking that he become employed at a different employment? I mean, are you asking that he change employers or, I mean, what exactly are you asking him to do? I mean, he works where he works and he makes what he makes and he's provided that information to the court.
Right, but I believe that he works for his parents because he is given less hours per se. Or Tuttle works under the table for the other portion and that's how his parents
Do
pay
you
his
have
rent.
proof? Do you have any proof to present to that?
Yeah, ma'am, do you have proof that he has additional income other than that he has testified to?
I do not, but I do have proof that if you look at the child support orders, up until he worked for his parents, he worked full time. If you look
Correct.
at
During the car accident, I had to resign from my previous job at M&K Truck Centers. I had to resign from there. I spent 2 years in and out of physical therapy. And then I come working back for my parents. And I've been with my parents since then. So I've been on their payroll since 2017. And I haven't had another job since.
When we went in front of Judge Dimkoff in 2018, he was imputed at 30 hours instead of 40 because he was in school to get a better job. So Judge Dimkoff granted him that additional 10 hours off, despite the fact I was in a master's program, and he was inputted at that time at $355 at 30 hours. So I guess I just don't understand why he went to school to get
I'm still currently in school. That's the whole apprentice program. I'm still an electrician apprentice, so I'm still currently in school.
How long does school last?
It's a work at your own pace. But when you have neck surgeries, you have to take time off. So 20 and 21, I did not go to school.
I guess my point is that even after his surgery in 2015, he has worked full-time. He has made more money. So
When have I worked full-time? I would like to know. I would like to see the proof.
his ability to work based on his special skills and his training. He has 2 state of Michigan licenses, and we're inputting him at $24,000 a year. Raising a child costs more than that.
Well, part of that is based on his testimony that he has injuries that prevent him from working full-time at this point.
The doctors
I mean,
know
That are worsening in nature too. So I mean, we could put this all on if we have an evidentiary hearing that would be longer than what we have today. I mean, I guess we could go there if we need to.
Well, I was hoping to get this done today, but if there are issues that need more time, I can adjourn this. I would expect at that hearing, Ms. Maury would present evidence that she has that indicates that Mr. Tuttle has worked in addition to the 25 hours at Platts Electric. And that Ms. Emmelander, on behalf of her client, would put on evidence that he has injuries that prevent him from working more than 25 hours at this time. Think we can probably get that done in a couple hours?
I would think so.
All right. Let's see.
Your Honor, I have a question.
What's that?
So if we take it to an evidentiary hearing,
Yeah.
and I have to drag in my surgeon and all this, and pay my lawyer even a lot more money to prove that I can only work 25 hours, which I have been for the last 3, 4, 5, almost 6 years, that she be held for all my lawyer fees and
That would be part of what
the
I had asked
entire.
for, John.
And it would,
Okay.
I guess it would depend at that point on how credible her evidence was to the contrary, that you had the ability to work, that she has evidence or witnesses that have seen you working in addition to that 25 hours, if she has that evidence to counter or to contradict your testimony or your evidence, and I'm making a decision based on credible evidence on both sides, then I would probably deny any request for attorney fees or sanctions for a frivolous argument. If she has nothing to contradict it, then I would certainly consider that.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because this is going to be very costly to prove a fact that's already been on probably 20 court orders from 2015 that was in front of you showing that I was disabled, and we've already went down this road, and I had to show all my medical from my first surgery that put me at less than 30% function of my arms.
I get that.
So if I have to go,
surgeries are meant to get you back to normal or close to normal. And if you've had a couple now and she has evidence to support that you or you don't have evidence to support that you still have limitations or restrictions, then I got to look at all that. I guess I can't talk in for instances here until I really hear exactly what's being presented. Okay.
No, that's fine. I can call my surgeon and line it up to where he can testify during that day. That's no problem.
All right. And maybe Ms. Maury would be satisfied with some kind of written statement from your doctor. I don't know. Maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't, because you can't really cross-examine a written statement, but maybe you start there and she looks at it and says, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Or maybe,
I'm sorry, I'm losing connection on my end.
I said maybe Ms. Maury would be satisfied with a written statement from the surgeon. I know as far as admissibility, it could be considered hearsay, but maybe she looks at that and says, okay, I guess you're right. You still have restrictions, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know.
Just to make a point here that saying that I'm not disabled, but here's my, placard for being disabled. So
Nobody knows. If we're gonna set it for a different date, let's just set it for a different date and not have you continue to gaslight everything I've said.
well, I mean, we
All
can
right,
do it here.
About April 21st, at 1, does that work for anybody or everybody?
I am unavailable the last 2 weeks of April. If we could make it into May, that would be fantastic.
I got the 14th of April, that's not one of the last 2 weeks of April, that's the week before. At
April
10:30.
April 14th should work for me. Thank you.
Ms. Unalander, does that work for you?
I believe so. We will be just getting back from vacation that week, and then I'm set for a full day of trial on the 12th, so it might be a bit dicey to get professional witnesses all lined up by then. I'm assuming most of our witnesses are going to be professional witnesses, doctors and such. So, I mean, I think I'm available that day. I don't know that they will be.
Need to drag it out any longer if we're crossing out the last 2 weeks of April. I don't know, I got all day May 5th, I guess if that works better for everybody.
May 5th is perfect.
Yep, that'll work for me. Thank you.
Ms. Maury, you okay with May 5th?
Yes, sir.
Anybody care, morning, afternoon, have a preference?
Morning's fine with me.
Morning would be fine.
May 5th, 9 a.m.
9 a.m., May 5. Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
No, no margaritas before court, right?
Sounds good.
Cinco de Mayo.
All right.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
All right.
Bye.
Ms. Oven will preserve the calculation she has so far and we'll update it if necessary that day. She should be all set for today.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll call you, Jen. All right, bye.